Poppy makes a Newt Scamander inspired scarf. For this you will be needing gray and yellow wool, a loom board with 24 pegs, a pair of scissors, and a knitting hook. Hey there and welcome, or even maybe welcome back to my channel. So some of you may have noticed I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and you might also remember all the Harry Potter inspired tutorials I made this summer. If not, you can find these Harry Potter inspired tutorials in the info box. And as a huge Harry Potter fan, I really cannot wait to see the new movie Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which was also written by the amazing J.K. Rowling. The movie is about Newt Scamander, who is a magizoologist and traveling to find and document new magical beasts. But when in New York on the end of his trip gets in trouble because of a no-maj named Jacob, a magic suitcase, and the escape of some of his beasts. Newt wears this yellow and gray scarf because he's a Hufflepuff. And that gave me the perfect opportunity to try out my new loom board and show you how to make a dual-colored scarf. So you will need gray and yellow wool because those are the colors of Hufflepuff. You can use a darker gray like I used with this Hufflepuff bracelet. Just click on the info box to see how you can make that bracelet, or click on the direct link and down below in the description box. So first you'll need to set up your loom board. This is the first time I made something on a straight loom, so I chose a fairly easy stitch to work with. I'm working with 100 grams of wool for a needle size 4 to 5 and with a length of 241 meters. You'll need 2 balls of wool at a time. You could choose to work with a thicker wool, but I like the effect this gives. Start off with setting up the loom board with the gray wool. Grab the ends of both balls of wool and make a slip knot like so. Take the ends in your left hand, wrap the wool around your middle and index finger, holding the rest of the wool with your left hand. Cross the wool so you'll have a loop and grab the strands of wool still attached to the balls of wool and pull it through the loop. Attach the wool to a peg on the left side of your loom board by placing the loop over a peg and pulling the 2 strands of wool still attached to the balls of wool. So now that the wool is attached to the loom board, you are ready to wrap it around the pegs. Start wrapping it from right to left around the first bottom peg on the left. Then go to the one above, wrap it around that one also from right to left. Going to the second on the bottom row, wrapping it the same way, continuing to the top again as before. Don't wrap it too tight because later you'll need to pull them over the pegs. I'll show you again but slower. See how easily the wool jumps off the board? Don't worry if that happens to you, you'll get the hang of it. Okay, back to the bottom peg, wrapping it around from right to left. Going over to the peg at the top, also wrapping it from right to left. Continue wrapping the pegs this way, but not the very last peg. So don't wrap this last peg like you did before from right to left. No, wrap it from left to right. While holding the strands of wool, push down the wool on the board. Now going back the same way, so this time you'll wrap the wool around the pegs from left to right. Still going bottom to top, etc. And again, the last one the other way around, wrapping the last peg, now the bottom one, from right to left. Hold the wool in place with your thumb, grab your knitting hook and pull the loop of the first row over the second and the peg. Always do this first to the last peg you've wrapped, so the wool stays in place and you can let go. Continue to pull all the loops over the top and push down. Don't forget the other side and skip that first peg with a single row. So this was setting up your loom and making the first row. Your wool should now be back on your left. The scarf is made out of the same amount of rows, gray and yellow. To keep track of what row I'm on, I always write it down after I finished a row, like so. To continue knitting, you'll need to again unwrap all the pegs. Your wool should be on the bottom left peg. Grab your wool and wrap it around the top left peg from right to left. Over to the second peg at the bottom. No need to wrap the first peg on the bottom. Continuing, wrapping the pegs top to bottom, wrapping the wool from right to left. See how easily the wool jumps off? It happens sometimes, especially in the beginning. I saw everyone holding the loom board a different way. You'll just need to figure out what is most comfortable for you. And you've guessed it, the last peg will be wrapped around from left to right. Now what I've come to find easy is when I'm going to pull the bottom loop over that last peg is to turn the loom board 180 degrees. So my wool is back on the left and I have a good vision on the pegs. Once you've secured the wool on the last peg you've wrapped, you'll need to pull all the bottom loops over the top. First on this side, Then over to the back, skipping the first with a single row. Turn, if you need to, your loom board so your wool is on the left. And note the second row. Continue knitting the rest of the gray the same way as the last row, up to 20 rows. I've seen people holding their loom board, positioning the whole time like they are going back and forth, like I showed you when setting up the loom board making the first row. But for me, keeping the wool to my left was easiest. Both ways work out just fine when it comes to the pattern. I think it comes to what is the most easiest for you. After you've knitted about 3 to 4 rows, take the strands of wool you've attached with a slip knot to a peg and place them in the middle of your loom. Continue knitting. Okay, it takes a while to knit 20 rows, so I'm just going to speed it up a bit. So here we are at the 20th row, and this is where we'll need to change colors. Don't worry now, this is seriously easier than you would think. Cut the gray wool off of the balls of wool about just as long as your loom board. Take your yellow wool and your knitting hook and pull the yellow wool underneath 2 or 3 knitted stitches like so. Next, make a few, 2 or 3, knots with the yellow and gray wool. Lay those leftover pieces of wool straight in the middle of your loom board and you'll be good to go to knit with the yellow wool. This first row might be a little bit tricky because of the leftover wool you'll have to wrap over, but the rest will be just the same. Don't forget, you'll also need to knit 20 yellow rows. Also, don't worry that you still have 1 gray peg and this won't show in the end. Okay, since these are all the steps you'll need to know for now, I'm going to take quite a jump. So this is a couple of days later and the scarf has almost become a real scarf now. I've got 9 gray blocks and 8 yellow blocks, and this will be the last yellow block that I will be knitting. As you can see, I'm getting more and more the hang of knitting on this loom board. So I've seen how scarves always end with a color they start. So this will be the last color change, so the scarf will also end with the gray. As this was the last row to be knitted, now comes the tricky part of finishing the scarf. I myself had quite a struggle with this because it's quite fiddly. This is how you do it. Take your loom and have your wool on the left. You are going to work from right to left, so towards the wool. Take your knitting hook, take off the first top right pack, and with that on, also take off the first bottom right pack. Now pull the first loop over the second, leaving you with one loop on your hook. That probably wasn't real good to see, so I've adjusted the camera and you'll get where I'm going with this. You'll need to work from right to left, top to bottom, and so on. Now with this loop on, you are going to grab the second loop at the top. As I said, real fiddly, and I had to adjust the first loop because my knitting hook went through the wool instead of only the loop. But on the millionth try, it finally worked, and I was able to pull the first over the second loop. Please be kind, it was only my first time knitting on a straight loom board after all. Over to the second at the bottom. Again, I put my hook through the wool, so you might want to check that first before you grab another loop. Now I'm already on the third bottom pack, and this one only took one try. Pull the first loop over the second and continue grabbing the next loop. So you see where this is going, right? Going over to the fourth pack, taking loop off, pulling loop over, going to the fourth on the bottom, and so on and so on. Just keep going till the very last loop. With this last loop, you're going to make a knot. Make the loop a bit bigger and cut the wool off of the balls of wool. Pull the wool through the loop and make a knot. You can use your knitting hook to help you. Again, with a hook, pull the strands of wool front to back through the bottom of the scarf to create a loop. Pull the strands through the loop, and this way you can cover up the end because it will be part of the fringe. This is all the wool I get left over, but it is enough to make all the fringes with. One ball of wool is 241 meters. I have used 4 balls of wool. That means the scarf includes almost about 880 meters of wool. For the first fringe, you'll need 3 strands of wool of at least 20 centimeters. Don't worry if they are uneven, we'll trim the fringes at the end. Fold the strands double and pull them through the bottom of the scarf to create a loop. Take the strands plus the 2 others and pull them through the loop to secure the fringe. For the other fringes, you'll need 4 strands of at least 20 centimeters per fringe. So first add a gray fringe, next a yellow fringe, and also end with a gray fringe. Trim the edges of the fringes, use something straight like a loom board, and cut the fringes. Don't forget to add fringes on the other end of the scarf. And there it is, the finished Newt Scamander inspired scarf. I've used up all my gray wool and almost all of the yellow wool. I hope you enjoyed the video. I sure did making it. Don't forget to check out all my Harry Potter inspired tutorials like the house bracelet I was wearing. And have fun! Make your own Newt Scamander inspired scarf. For more ideas and free printables, please visit my blog poppymag.blogspot.com. If you have any ideas or requests on what I should make or bake next time, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, follow me on other social media like Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. Thanks for watching and see you next time.